Good morning, everybody. John Sfiepla here with GAI Insights on the Generative AI News Briefing, telling you what's essential, important, or optional, saving you time in your day, and maybe giving you a little insight to boot. We've got Luda, Paul, Adam, and Ankash. As we start in today, let's start with first one, Ankash.
Good, John. So the first one that we have for today comes from Microsoft, and Microsoft wants the 3 Mile Island to fuel its AI power needs.
Yes, they're putting 1.6 billion into this iconic power plant that had, America's worst nuclear nightmare, and now it's coming back online in 2028, I think. So, what did you think about this, Luda?
Oh, I think it was Adam, but I can.
I'm happy to lead off. I was planning to.
Okay.
Look, it's a bit. I know there's a history with 3 Mile Island, and associated with what has happened there. But Microsoft has a big power problem in front of them, and they definitely are looking at greener solutions. And this is a very quick way to get a lot of power. It's unprecedented as well. No one has ever been the sole recipient of all of the power from a nuclear reactor before. So this is some pretty wild stuff, but I think the news is probably optional. It doesn't change much. We all knew Microsoft was going to be going after energy in probably lots of ways, and this is just more evidence of that. So it's kind of hyperbolic news, but optional in the grander scheme of things.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting. I also had it as optional. I think it's so interesting that the coming of intelligence is, driving power demand pretty substantially. So wonderful. Paul, Luda, you guys okay with optional?
Yeah, optional.
All right,
Yes,
Akash, next.
Okay. The next one is about what artificial intelligence will look like in the year 2030.
Yeah, so we have a whole series of experts here, everybody from Eric Brynjolfsson at Stanford to our friend Ethan Mollick down at Wharton. What do you folks think here? Luda, I think you have a different sheet than I do. So who do you have coming up on this one?
Paul.
Paul, coming up, Paul.
Yeah, this is interesting, but it's optional. I think all the speculation out there is so wide. The aperture is really wide where this all goes, and I think the AI leader needs to stay focused on the next 12 to 18 months. So, hey, this is optional. Certainly interesting reading, but I skimmed it and didn't find it particularly insightful.
Yeah, I was struck by how little data or real examples there were, and anything specific. Given that these folks sit all day and do like we do, try to figure out what the future looks like. There's no economic analysis. That might have been the writer. They might have taken that piece out, but
John, as you and I talked about, we've never seen a topic where people have so little information, such strong opinions. I mean, we can walk out here in Boston through a rock and hit 4 people and get 4 strong opinions.
Yeah, but these are experts in it, supposedly, but whatever. So we're heading toward optional. Luda, Adam, you're going to pull us off the optional rock?
I guess the only thing I will say is that I think it was just last week. It might have been earlier, and I just saw it last week. But the CEO of NVIDIA, Jensen Huang, was recently talking about how the concept of Moore's Law, which is held for so very long, we're just entering the age where Moore's Law is going to go exponential because of the way the technology can actually accelerate the technology, which is something that it's never been able to do before to this rate. And I would just say that it should be nearly impossible. If they asked me to talk about what AI would be like in 2030, I would say there's no way you can imagine a horizon of 6 years at this point. Like, we think where we are from 2 years ago. And if you think the next 2 years are going to be as staggering as the last 2 are, you're wrong. They're going to be 20 times as staggering, right? So to speculate like this about 6 years from now, I think is just sort of a waste of time in many ways. It can paint a lot of pictures. I don't think any of them will be correct. Frankly, if they are, it's going to be in 2 years, not 6 years. This is underestimating quite a bit how rapidly the landscape of things is going to change.
Okay, guys, I hear you, and I am okay with optional. However, it's a short read, and what it does, it pushes you to think strategy for your business, for in general, where things are going, what is strong, what is not, what has happened so quickly, and what is likely to happen. And you put your business in that light, and it might create a different light. For that reason, I would argue we should rate it as important for the sort of thought-provoking nature of this article. So it's not going to be correct as one of the experts cite that, look, it probably will land right in the middle. You say this, we're here now, you project you will be there in 2030, but it will be somewhere in between, and things will happen that will not that we haven't predicted, but yet it will give people some new thoughts, I think.
I hear you, Luda. It's also in the Wall Street Journal. I just think that I found again, I don't know if this is the writer or the interviewees. I thought the insights were really pretty, not that interesting, and not, not a whole lot fact based, and
agree. So as I said, I'm okay with optional if you decide go optional, but I just wanted to state there is a reason potentially for important.
Yeah, John Salisbury in our comments here is asking, when does energy just blend into competition, computation? And I was saying back to John, I think that we're kind of already there, but I don't think they have the market. I don't think the energy companies have the market power or the expertise to get at that margin that sits in the conversion of energy into computation. Because that, obviously, Google and NVIDIA have much better margins than the regulated power companies. All right. Optional it is. Ankaj, next.
So the next one that we have is a research paper, and it talks about training language models to self-correct via reinforcement learning.
Yeah. Get some improvements here, 9 or 15% using its own reinforcement learning without humans from the model itself from our friends at Google DeepMind. So, Luda, who do you have on this one?
I do. I am on it. So I rated this article as optional. It's the results are, it's better than the other options a little bit, like 4% better. And but it's a good for technical people. It gets very technical very quickly. Ankash, if you go to the article itself and scroll to, you will see the results. I think page 2 or something, or 3. Then it will give readers, here. So as you can see, it's better, but it's essentially what the authors do is tell the model to go and think twice and say that the first answer might have been incorrect, go think some more. And the model uses its own self-generated data to come up with a better answer. In most cases, it does. It takes cycles, however, and it's the article doesn't discuss how do you reduce the cycles. It's harder to train. So I thought it was a step in the right direction, maybe an optional.
Yeah, I also as optional. I don't think it's available. I was trying to figure out,
No.
I don't. So it's just a report of what they're doing inside Google to help improve Gemini. I thought it was definitely optional. Paul, Adam, you good with that?
Agreed.
All right, the big O. Next.
Next one is from Twitter, and actually from a new company called Sakana AI, and it talks about how a model, when it was given a problem, resolved to hacking something and to complete its tasks.
Yeah, it seems like the model went exploring where it could start to get other access and maybe even change its own code in terms of getting toward a goal, a capture the flag kind of goal process here. Luda, who'd you have on this one?
Adam.
That's me.
Adam, what do you think?
It's interesting but optional. It's I believe in this case it was with the new O1 preview and O1 mini models, which are the new reasoning, the more advanced reasoning, not the GPT 4.0 that's been out for a while, but the newer OpenAI models. And with this advanced reasoning, they're seeing this agentic behavior, right? They're giving it the capability to take actions, and it was finding some very clever ways to solve the problem that it was presented with. It basically said, oh, here's the box you put me in, but you didn't tell me to stay in the box, so I'm just going to find another way in. And it actually discovered that there was an API in a development part of this cloud container that accidentally was still there, and it basically hacked in from some completely different unexpected direction to achieve the objective of getting at the information inside. So it's fascinating, but I don't know quite what our target audience would do with the information. Of course, they should certainly be aware about the growing risk of cybersecurity and the advancement of the capabilities of these tools, but this isn't really going to further that much.
Yeah, Luda, Paul, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree. It's a scary thought that to satisfy the objective, the model will go out of the way and overrule itself essentially and its instructions. But we kind of knew that, so it's nothing new. So optional.
Optional. Yeah, I was going to make the case for important, but you guys are convincing me optional. It is interesting when you start reallocating thinking responsibilities, just the persistence and patience of these agents, as they're looking for a way in or whatever. I do think cybersecurity is going to be a whole new field with agentic, activity. Paul,
And
you
John,
okay?
yeah, it's optional, but we're gonna have to, robots are gonna start need to watching the robots here. This is getting too complicated, too fast, too scalable.
Yeah.
And to trust one single robot as a single security finger in the dike is not sufficient.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, if you look at how a modern factory works, right, you've got all kinds of feedback loops, and it's essentially, simpler robots, in deterministic systems, watching other robots and integrating with them. If you want to think of it that way, if you're running a oil refinery or something like that, right, you've got all kinds of reallocation of decision responsibility. But here it seems, the agents can go into broader domains with broader decision rights, which is going to be really interesting. It's not going to be so closed loop automatic. So the optionality of what they'll be able to do, I would think, would go up tremendously. All right. We are headed for a no-hitter here. We got another optional. Oh, gosh.
The next one comes from Grok, and it talks about the Black Forest lab raising another 100 million at a $1 billion valuation.
Yes, and Black Forest Labs, not sure why they have that name. And this is kind of a rebirth of Stability AI, as far as I can tell, with some of the talent there. And for those of you in Australia who don't know what baseball is, it's like stupid cricket. Okay. Cricket for dummies is baseball. Okay. All right. So let's see. Who do we have here?
Paul.
Paul.
Oh yeah, I had this as optional. I think it's interesting. The amount of innovation going into image continues to go through the roof. But this is a funding announcement, and we want to watch the applications. So optional.
All right, optional. Adam, you go with that? You good for the old optional here?
Yeah, that's fine. The model's name is Flux, which is probably what a lot more people have heard than Black Forest Labs is the creator of it. But yeah, I mean, it's good news for Flux. I think they probably, given the fact that Elon Musk is already using their model in X, they're probably in a pretty good position financially already. But for them to get this funding just signals that they really want to accelerate and compete with Midjourney. So it'll be fun to watch.
Adam, have you played with Flux much?
Oh yeah, heaps. I use it all the time.
Is it your top image generation tool now? Or?
It is at the moment. I've never been a Midjourney subscriber though. I think Midjourney probably still beats it out, especially if you want to have control over style consistency and character consistency. But Flux produces very good images.
And you've got Flux above GPT-4 image generation?
Yeah, over the Dolly 3.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah, interesting. I love how people, when they're testing guardrails, always end up with Donald Trump.
Machine gun.
An AK-47, whatever he's got, an AR-15. I don't know the weapon he's got, but it's obviously an assault rifle. All right, America, the place where we have more guns than people. Next, Ankaj.
The last one that we have for today comes from Financial Times, and it talks about moving over copilots and getting introduced to a new generation of AI-powered assistants.
Yeah, let's see. What do we think here, Luda?
Well, it's optional, I think. It's a speculative article that talks about, hey, agents will replace the copilots. I would add to that when they're ready. We're not ready, and people are not quite in the industry are not quite ready to give the power to the agents yet. So in essence, it's a look here, it will come, and it will come. It's just, and there's no examples. It's really a speculative article in my book, so optional for me.
Adam, where are you on this?
Yeah, I'd agree. I hope by now most of our AI leaders have heard of agents before. If they haven't, they're probably not going to keep their job much longer. This article would be good for them to maybe get an idea of what an agent is, or to introduce them to this concept. But generally speaking, it doesn't add much to the conversation. I thought it was pretty optional.
All righty. So we are here, a totally optional day. You can have time back unless you have time to just kind of poke around. And
although John, that article is a good segue to tonight's Learning Lab, which is about Custom AI Assistants 101 by Michael Hayes. He's going to talk about custom GPTs, Gemini Gems, and Claude projects. So that's really sort of that bridge between where we've been with these large language models and where we're going to be quite soon with the agents.
Yeah, so we're going to actually get into some of that tonight. For those of you, it's 7 o'clock East Coast time, East Coast U.S. time, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And we'll start with some initial comments. Then Michael will have the stage for most of the time. Then we have an open mic, and look forward to seeing you all there. Any other announcements, Luda, Adam, Ankaj?
Nope.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody. See you tomorrow. Hope we gave you some time back.